What up? What up? Shout out to everybody out there in YouTube world. Yo, peace. Shout out to the Dime Game Division, man. You know, we're going to chop it up for a minute. It's the Nerve of You podcast coming at you live on a lovely, lovely Thursday evening. And, you know, we're going to chop it up. Obviously, you know, we got some big news that hit social media. And I'm going to speak on a few things about my personal experiences with Kevin Samuels. You know, a lot of people making videos about Kevin, but they didn't really know him. They didn't really know him, I guess, on an intimate level, you know, personally. But actually, I did know Kevin Samuels, man. I know him pretty well, you know, for the time period that we was in correspondence and things of that nature. And you know, it was very shocking to me. You know what I'm saying? When a lot of news came out there, and you know, I guess we could say allegedly he's passed, but you know, it hadn't been anything on Kevin's end to say that he wasn't. You dig? At the end of the day, I'm like, wow, you know, I wouldn't have never really expected, because if anybody ever met Kevin Samuels in real life, you know, he looked like a guy that's in pretty good shape. I mean, if you ever seen him, you know, he's a mammoth human being, for one. Let me put that out there. He's a mammoth human being. Like, you literally got to look up to him. But besides that, you know, to me, he looked like a pretty healthy guy. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, they saying that, you know, he passed from cardiac arrest. You know, allegedly, this is what they saying. And, you know, but it has been confirmed to me by some pretty reputable sources that Kevin probably is gone. You see what I'm saying? Some sources that I trust, and you know, I'll just leave it at that. And some people that I really trust, that I've known to have a good word, because I wouldn't even do a live stream like this without doing my research and protocol. Right. You see what I'm saying? Because you would hate to be the guy that's wrong and you jump in the gun. Right. But anyway, I'm going to tell a few Kevin Samuels stories. I'm gonna talk about some good. I'm going to talk about some bad. I'm just going to be 100. And, you know, we're just going to take it from there. You know, but we're going to start off by saying rest in peace. Now, I originally met Kevin a few years back, maybe 3 years ago. And you know the crazy part? Me, Kevin Samuels, and Donovan Sharp, we was all supposed to do a kind of like a men's convention, right? Mm-hmm. This was a while back. And let me just lay out the story for y'all. You know what I mean? It was me, Kevin, and Donovan Sharp, right? And Kevin Samuels reached out to me. I didn't really know him like that. I've been on his platform before. He'd been on mine a couple times up until that point. But it was all good. So Donovan Sharp and Kevin Samuels, I guess they was already in talks of throwing like a men's type of convention. Mm-hmm. This was before the Self-Improvement Summit, all of that. This was way back in the day. And it was Kevin that reached out to me. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, he was, you know, pretty decent guy, whatever. And I heard what they had to say. They gave me the pitch. And I was like, bet, I'm down. So Donovan and Kevin was like, look, we're going to do like a men's convention in Atlanta. And I was on there. We all did a Zoom call. I was like, bet, right? No. So it was the three of us, and we all blocked out our schedules to go to Atlanta for a specific weekend. This is what happened. So, boom, right? Next thing you know, everybody, Kevin getting his plane tickets. I was like 6 hours away, so I'm just gonna drive down to Atlanta. That way I can have my car while I'm down there. Mm-hmm. I'm calling my friends in Atlanta. Then Donovan Sharp disappears. This is a true story. Donovan Sharp gets MIA, wow. Right? And Kevin called me like, yo, Boogie, I can't get in contact with Donovan. He not really answering my calls, da-da-da-da-da. So I told Kevin, I was like, look, man, you already got your flight to Atlanta. I already scheduled to be in Atlanta that weekend. I got my friends waiting on me. Let's just go anyway and do some content. So that was my idea. So again, I never even asked Donovan what happened with that. I'm sure Donovan Sharp has his side of the story, but I'm like, whatever. So we go down to Atlanta, and I'm telling Kevin Samuels, because Kevin, before he blew up, a lot of people forget he was an image consultant for men.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? He was an image consultant for men. So, boom. I'm like, look, man, I told him, I said, look, man, a lot of people don't know what you do as far as the image consultant. A lot of people don't know because they never seen it. So I was like, look, man, let's just do some content while we're going to be here. And, you know, we'll get lit on YouTube and then just call it a day. You know what I'm saying? So
it won't be a wasted trip.
Yeah, it won't be a wasted trip and just a waste of time. And, you know, I won't be looking at Donovan funny because I always thought Donovan was a man of his word. But like I said, I'm sure he got his version of the story. And what Kevin told me something different, that he just disappeared. So anyway, we got to Atlanta and, you know, I picked up Kevin and we went out to the mall and, you know, got some content at the mall. And we went out to some suit shops. We went to Suit Supply. And if anybody ever seen the content back in the day, you know,
I saw it.
I was trying on different suits, and I just let Kevin style me for a day. Just did content, and people actually got to see what he do in real life. And I was, I guess, the guinea pig at the time or whatever. but it was all good. Right. So the very first thing we did was grab something to eat. Or might have been the second thing. We might have went to the suit store. Then we went to the Cheesecake Factory. Because Suit Supply is right here, up there in Buckhead, and then the Cheesecake Factory right there. Mm-hmm. So, went to the Cheesecake Factory, and I'm going to be honest, man, you know, and this is no shade, but I was the only guy that ever asked Kevin Samuels about the gay rumors. Mm. I sat on this side of the table, he sat on that side of the table. And the reason that I asked him, I'm just going to be transparent with you, was I didn't really care about somebody's sexual preference, but I'm like, look, if we're going to be doing business, if we're going to be doing, you know, an event and all of this stuff, then I don't really want any surprises. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I think I have the right to know.
That's understandable.
You know what I'm saying? So I didn't like grill him, but I did ask him. I was like, yo, man, like, what's up with this? Woo, woo, woo. I ain't going to get on into that. And he said what he said. And I left it alone. That's it. You know what I'm saying? And Kevin had an explanation for the gay thing. I probably shouldn't even say that word on YouTube because it's so sensitive, but Kevin Samuels had an explanation for it. Right. And what he told me, a part of his explanation, he was like, look, you got to look at who's calling me gay. Mm. Kevin Samuels said, it's mostly guys from the South. Like this is what he said. It's mostly dark-skinned guys that call me. Like he had this whole thing with it. Like he broke it down, was like, look, you got to look at who's calling me that. And now you got to keep in mind, this was before Kevin blew up. I think he got millions of subscribers now, but back then he had like 30-something thousand followers. So it wasn't like he was a household name at that point, right?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So I asked him about it, and look, he said what he had to say. He was like, look, man, it's usually guys from the South. It's usually dark-skinned dudes, da-da-da-da. And I just left it alone because I'm like, okay, I kind of see where this is going type of thing or whatever. So I just left it alone, and we finished making the content. So that whole day, pretty much, we made content. And then the next day, we went out for brunch, and that was it. You know what I'm saying? As far as my dealings with him that time in Atlanta. And I met up with him another time in Atlanta too that I'll get to. So we did the content, and the content came out phenomenal. Like, it was kind of crazy because if anybody know me in real life, you know, people know that I'm a military dude. I like dressing. It seemed like I dress in uniform. But Kevin put me in some different things I would have never tried, and I was open to it. I thought the content was pretty dope. And for the first time, people really got to see what Kevin do in real life. Nobody's seen it before.
That's true.
He was just always talking about image for men. He was always talking about suits and colognes. But I'm going to be 100. I never seen somebody break down a bottle of cologne like Kevin. Like a chemist, man. Like we was in like Neiman's or something. And, you know, he was just showing me different fragrances or whatever. Because I stick to like 3 fragrances. You know what I'm saying? I'm old school. But he was breaking it all down like a chemist. Boom, 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 boom. Shooting it off. And I was like, damn, dude, like, you know what I mean? I like cologne, but I'm not into it like that.
Right.
I'm not breaking down each chemical and particle and this and this and this. And I was, you know, fairly impressed with it. You see what I'm saying? I was fairly impressed. And a lot of people knew Kevin at that time throughout the mall. You know what I'm saying? You know, just different stores, I guess, that he go to frequently. You know what I'm saying? Like, he knew his fair share of people in the mall. He wasn't Kevin Samuels but I can tell he was making his impression in Buckhead at the time. This is before he moved there. And, you know, people knew him throughout the mall or whatever.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, but I'm trying to tell people, Kevin Samuels is a mammoth human being. So he's going to get attention when he's walking anyway. This guy's huge, man. He's tall as shit. And I'm like 6'1", you know what I'm saying? I'm not like a short guy. I'm not considered short, but I'm like, this short guy should be in the NBA.
Yeah. I look up to you, so.
Nah, Kevin's tall, man. I'm trying to tell you. Like, you're not going to miss him.
Right.
So, boom. So that was that. So that was the beginning of how me and Kevin met. And then after that, you know, I got back home and, you know, we corresponded for a little while, man. You know, I'm going to be honest, you know, like we had some real deep conversations at times. And I didn't always agree, you know, at that time with certain things he said, but, you know, Kevin never gave me any type of, I'm talking about personally. I'm not talking about YouTube-wise. You got YouTube Kevin and you got personal Kevin. That's 2 different people. Y'all got to understand, you got YouTube Kevin and you got personal Kevin. It's 2 different people, but, you know, he gave me solid advice on life. I mean, he's still a 50-something-year-old man. He been through things.
Right.
You know, he been through divorces. So, like, he never told me nothing wrong about my personal life. You know what I mean? He gave me advice on things. We had some real chop-ups, some real conversations or whatever. And it kind of built from there. So, we didn't do, obviously, the men's convention with me, him, and Donovan. Like, we didn't do it because...
But that would have been great. Fire if you guys did.
Well, I'll get to that.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Okay.
Because I'm going to say the good and the bad. I'm going to give my experience, and then I'm going to give my takeaway on Kevin. So, on my ride home from Atlanta, this is a true story. This is a true story. On my ride home from Atlanta, you know, I told Kevin, I was like, look, I don't want to do the men's event no more. I told him. And we got into a back and forth on the phone. Real talk about it. And my comfort level really wasn't that high because Donovan backed out. It was supposed to be me, him, and Donovan. Now it's only me and Kevin. Now Donovan completely backed out. So on my way home, after we did the content and all that, I told him, I was like, look, man, I'm good on that. I was like, maybe another time, but before we start putting in money and making plans and announcing this, because we hadn't told anybody, I was like, I'm good, bro. And he was trying to really talk me into it. Now, you got to understand, Kevin is a salesman by trade.
Right.
And it didn't work on me because I stood tall. I was like, no. And then it got to a point I had to tell him flat out, like, I'm good, bro. But he was trying to convince me to do it. And
you already made up your mind.
I made up my mind as soon as I left Atlanta. You see what I'm saying? And he had just happened to call me on my way home. And then I just told him then. I was going to tell him when I got home, like, you know what, bro, Donovan ain't there. You know, I'm good right now. It's just something about the energy ain't right.
Right.
So anyway, and let me say this. This ain't no shot to Donovan Sharp. You know what I'm saying? I've been on Donovan's show after that. I never asked Donovan why he didn't show up in Atlanta. And I've been around Donovan since then. I didn't even care to ask him. I said, look, that's done. Bygones is bygones. I don't even care.
Right.
Because I know he had his reasons.
Right.
So, boom. I told Kevin, I was like, look, man, I'm good on the event right now. You know, I'm just gonna do me for a while. And we got into a back and forth. It didn't get contentious, not that time, but he was trying to convince me to do it. And I was like, I'm good. So anyway, I got home and you know, he still hit me up from time to time. Like we still talk, you know, maybe 40% YouTube stuff. Like and just any other time we just chop it up about life sometime and shit. You know what I mean? I think with Kevin, to be honest, man, I'm just gonna put it out there. You know, Kevin really wanted me to do something different on YouTube, right? Kevin didn't want me to do the self-improvement thing. And this is before I wrote my books, just before I had a summit. And I was telling Kevin, I was like, look, you know, I'm much bigger than just talking about women all day. Mm-hmm. And I told him, I was like, quite frankly, I don't really have a problem getting women. I mean, me and Kevin been to the club. Like, he's seen me work. He's seen some things. Like, we've been out. So I was like, look, I'm much more than that. And I have a story. You know what I mean? I'm a military guy. I've been to Iraq twice. You know, I've hit rock bottom in life. I've suffered from PTSD. I'm like, I'd rather tell my story and just deal with the self-improvement. And now Kevin told me, well, he said, well, how does that make money? Now, this is what he told me. Now, this was around the start of the friction between me and him.
Right.
But before that, he had a lot of plans. Like, he was like, look, man, we gonna go to Miami. This is a true story. He was like, yo, man, we should go to Miami. We should go to Vegas, do this, that, and the third. Now, keep in mind, this is before he blew up. Right. This was 35,000 subscriber Kevin.
Right.
So he was just thinking about how can he blow up on YouTube. And at the time, you believe it or not, my channel was outperforming his at the time. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Believe it or not.
Wow.
You know, as far as live streams and certain things. So Kevin was still trying to find his niche. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And I was like, look, man, I'm done with this women thing. I'm done, you know, all of that. You know, I'm talking about it all the time. I'd rather talk about other things and you know, and I was like, it's too many weirdos coming into this space. You know, and this is around the time I was getting into it a lot with black male YouTubers and stuff like that. And I was like, look, man, a lot of these guys is weird. And let me just throw this out there. Kevin Samuels do not like, I'm just going to be 100. I'm talking about the conversations we had. And I stand on what I said. I put this on my kids. Kevin Samuels don't like these guys in the manosphere. I'm just going to be 100. Like, he don't like them.
Why do you think that is?
For one, he don't think these guys are ambitious. He think a lot of these guys gave up on life. He think they full of excuses when they come to women. He think a lot of these guys are closed-minded. And on top of that, honestly, I think the biggest reason he don't like these guys in the manosphere is because they called him gay. That'll make anybody bitter.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That'll make anybody bitter. And I'm just being honest. That's just my assessment. I'm sure that didn't help. But Kevin, and I thought it was odd once Kevin blew up, everybody was his friend. Right. I'm like, yo, Kevin
I saw that too.
I'm like, Kevin don't even like y'all. You see what I'm saying? Like, he really don't. So anyway, hey, what's going on, Xanatol's Clutch? So I'm about to finish the story. So I told Kevin I didn't want to do the event. You know what I mean? I never asked Donovan what happened. Even when I've been around Donovan, I didn't bring it up. Kevin gave me his version of the story, and I left it alone. And you know what? I've always thought it was more to that story, because Donovan Sharp don't strike me as a guy that just disappears.
Right.
He prides himself off being an alpha, being a man.
Yeah.
I couldn't see that from him, so I was just befuddled. Like,
what's going on? What happened? Like,
why would Donovan just disappear when we sat on the Zoom call and we had plans on meeting in Atlanta?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So that was real odd to me. But moving on, boom. Kevin hit me up one day. I'm still just doing my thing on YouTube and other little things I was into in life. And so Kevin hit me up and was like, look, man, I'm throwing this men in training event. Like, you remember that, the MIT?
Yeah, I remember that.
And he was like, look, Boogie, I know you don't want to be a part. I'm paraphrasing. He was
Yeah,
like,
I almost went to that FBI training thing.
fair enough. Yeah. So he was like, look, I know that you're not trying to do the event anymore, but just come down to Atlanta for that weekend. And I was like, all right, I'll come down. And I really didn't want to come down. You see what I'm saying? That means more time. You know, I drive down there 6 hours, time, money, all of this stuff. I was like, you know what? I'll come down there and support your event.
Right.
This is real talk. You know what I mean? And I'm a man of my word. If I say something, I'm going to do it.
You are.
So I went all the way down to Atlanta again. Mm-hmm. And I didn't attend the actual event, but I went to the after party. Because I ended up getting to Atlanta kind of late. I had to make a couple pit stops. So I get down there, and we all just met up at Papa Do's, right? So, you know, and this is my second time seeing Kevin. And we all exchanged pleasantries and salutations. And I think it was like 8 or 9 of us. Mm-hmm. And, man, we waited around for like 2 hours. You know, Papa Do's get packed on like a Saturday night, especially in Atlanta. Right. Shit. Real talk. So, boom. We waiting around. I'm like, look, man, I'm about to just go to the bar. Because we was just standing there looking crazy, looking like Christmas tree ornaments. So I was like, look, I'm going to go to the bar and just kick it. So I went to the bar, had a few drinks. And then we end up getting lucky. Patience is a virtue, too, because they end up getting us this private wine room, in the back. We didn't request it. We ain't had no reservations or nothing.
Wow.
So we end up getting this whole room. And I still got the pictures. I'll post them up somewhere on my Instagram. So we back there, and this is still a part of the event because Kevin's still taking questions. He's still, giving advice. And, I showed up and I gave my little 2 cents on things. And, people asked me a few questions, but that was really that. Now, like me and Kevin chopped it up and shit. And so it was a quick turn and burn. Went back to Atlanta and I went back home. Now, this is where things went left with me and Kevin, because I'm going to tell the good and the bad. You know what I mean? I'm not going to get into a lot of details on the personal, but I'm going to tell the good and the bad of why me and Kevin stopped talking. Kevin had reached out to me about a black male YouTuber. I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to give him no press, but he's about 5'6" and walk with a cane. Y'all do the math. And Kevin had called me and was like, look, Boogie, I know he coming at you on YouTube. Don't respond to him. Because Kevin was anti-YouTube beef.
Right.
Always anti-YouTube beef. He was like, don't respond to him. And at that time, I told Kevin, I was like, look, man. I said, look, dog. You talk to this guy on the phone. Why you never tell him to stop coming at me? I was like, y'all the same age. You got to think, I'm 34 now. At that time, this is like 3 years ago. At that time, I'm like 31. I'm like, these guys are in their 50s. I'm like, why are you conversing with this dude? Why don't you tell him to stop coming at me? Why you calling my phone? I'm like, I'm just responding. I said, I already washed my hands with this cat. And I'm like, you sit there on the phone with him and then you call me. I told him, I said, I don't know if you playing both sides. And the conversation escalated very, very quickly, man.
Wow.
This real talk. It just escalated from there. And I'm going to be 100. I had already kind of lost my cool with Kevin because I started to distance myself because Kevin, for one, Kevin Samuels is a very judgmental person.
Right.
I'm talking about 100. I'm talking about personally, too. Not just on YouTube. That's who he is. If you overweight, he don't like, I'm telling you, man, he's just like that. So he had a lot of negative things to say about black men. And I called him out on it on the phone. I put this on my life. It's a true story. I called him out about it on the phone. I was like, look, bro. I was like, man, what is your problem, man? For real. I was like, what is your deal? Why you think the worst of black men? And it's kind of funny because a lot of black men be coming at me online.
That's true.
And I'm sitting here arguing with Kevin defending black men.
Right.
And this is why I tell people YouTube and personal is two different things. A lot of people actually hold these content creators to a standard. And I'm like, look, man, y'all don't even know the real.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just all good. I ain't gotta get into a lot of details, but I'm like, look, man, Kevin Samuels don't like y'all dudes, man. But so I'm like, yo, man, like, what's your deal? Like, why you so negative? And that conversation just escalated, to the point where, it was cursing involved and da 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 da. Kevin tried to calm me down a couple times, and you know what I mean. That was that. You know what I'm saying? Like, this was like an hour, maybe an hour, 15 minutes of us just going back and forth.
Wow.
And that was the last time I talked to Kevin. He had tried to reach out to me a couple times too, and I didn't even pick up because I was like, you know what? When I told him my plans for self-improvement, he approached me about money. And if anybody know me in real life, I don't be stunting on no bread. I mean, we all need money. I like money,
Right.
but I was like, look, man, this is what I want to do. I want to ride with this self-improvement thing. I'm kind of done with this woman energy, you know what I mean, talking about, the Afro woman all day.
Right.
I'm just kind of over it, right? So when Kevin approached me about the money, like, well, how is self-improvement going to make you money? And it was certain ideas that I told Kevin on the phone that literally he used in his show. So, I came up with my own conclusion about why he wanted me around.
Why do you think that is?
Hold on, let me sip on this.
Some hot tea or coffee.
Why do I think Kevin wanted me around?
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Samuels, if you understand, I remember on his own show, Kevin Samuels said that he's a rank opportunist. If anybody understand what that means, I mean, Kevin Samuels will spare no expense to get ahead in life. See what I'm saying? That's just what it is. So even when we was in Atlanta, Kevin is very serious. He's very by the book with how he move. It's not a lot of personality there. I'm just being honest. If anybody been around him, y'all can attest. And if anybody party with me, I'm standing on tables. like you can contest. You see me. Like, if anybody ever party with me, I'm wilding. I'm on the tables. we on the dance floor. So I felt like Kevin felt that it'd be a good balance. You see what I'm saying? Right. That was and some people had came to me and told me that, and I didn't really think about it, but I was like, maybe. You know what I'm saying? But on top of all of that, Kevin used to always tell me though. Kevin used to always tell me though, take the hoodie off, Boogie, put on a suit, da 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 da. And not that I don't mind doing that, but I was like, look, man, I'm not about to do all that to do a live stream. Are you serious? But we had these conversations about changing my image and all of that. Mm-hmm. And, I respectfully declined. But he gave me some little tips, and I was like, look, man, I'm just good doing what I'm doing. I was like, the hoodie is part of my brand now. You know what I'm saying? But it's all good. So that was that. And one thing I noticed about Kevin, respectfully, he spent a lot of time by himself. Now we're going to get to a more serious part, but let me reset the podcast. This is the Nerve of You podcast, coming right back at you on a lovely, lovely Thursday evening. I got the co-host I love to do the most in the building. We got Rose.
Hello.
And we just chopping it up about this Kevin Samuels situation. You know what I mean? I'm going to go ahead and finish with my Kevin Samuels stories. I wouldn't even really call this a tribute or whatever. I just call it, just speaking on who the real Kevin Samuels is. Right. A lot of people don't know the real Kevin Samuels. So I'll call it the real Kevin Samuels, based on conversations we had, times I've been around him. You know what I mean? I mean, Kevin been in my car. You see what I'm saying? Right. It's a true story. I drove him all up and down Atlanta.
Wow.
So like, you can feel somebody's energy, and you can truly get to know somebody like that. This ain't speculation. You dig? So boom. Me and Kevin had a little falling out, and I didn't really say nothing on YouTube about it at the time. I spoke on it a couple times if people caught those live streams, but I didn't make a big deal. I didn't start beefing with Kevin. I didn't, slander his name.
Right.
I just did my thing, man. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna rock out. But I noticed that Kevin spent a lot of time by himself. This is a true story. Because that was like a block of time, like maybe between the first time we met in Atlanta and the second time we met in Atlanta, where we did talk a lot. And he was always by himself. Always. I'm being 100. And, it was times I'd be at parties, I was with women, or I'd just be moving and grooving, busting my moves. And that's one thing that really stuck out to me. Not that it's super duper abnormal, but in my mind, I was like, yo, you Kevin Samuels.
Right. You wouldn't think that he spent a lot of time alone.
Always and he was always up at night. True story. This is a true story. You know what I'm saying? He was always up at night. All night. I don't know if he was editing content, whatever the deal was. I'm like, bruh, like, did you sleep? I guess he slept with it. I guess he on some nocturnal shit.
Right, yeah.
So it was odd to me, but you don't really know somebody like that to ask him like, bruh, like, you ain't got no friends? Like, right. This is a true story.
He would call,
Huh?
He would call a lot, you said.
Yeah. But I'm just trying to put the pieces together for you. So I'm like, dang, he's always by himself. And it just really stuck out to me, man. That's the biggest thing that stuck out. He was always by himself, man. And like he would call me and tell me about certain topics or certain things, or we'll just chop it up. And I remember one day we was having a real personal conversation. And he told me, he was like, yeah, Boogie. He was like, man, I kind of wish I would have went outside when I was young and played with the boys. I swear to God, it's a true story. And played with the guys. You know what I mean? He was like, I think that would have made me more rougher. So, like, we had these pockets of transparency. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Where, I mean, if anybody know me, I'm just going to be 100 about whatever. I'm an open book if you truly know me. And I guess once he got that vibe from me, that, you know what, anything about this Boogie dude, you know what I mean? He just gonna tell it like it is. So, I told him a lot of my stories growing up, things I've seen, things I've been through, hardships, whatever.
Right.
And I remember he told me that too. He was like, yeah, man, like, I kind of wish I would have went outside when I was young and, played with the guys. And, and I was like, word. I was like, yo, man, that was big of you to say that.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because, life is all about reflection and understanding, where we could evolve at.
Yeah, you're a very genuine person, so I find myself telling you things that I never told anybody else. So you just have that.
So anyway,
comfort.
So like we had some real personal conversations, and some things I'm not gonna say. Some things I'm not gonna talk about. Kevin told me the stories about, his ex-wives. And, what I mean? Like, we had these kind of intimate conversations. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And then over time, he blew up. I would say like a year later, maybe like a year and a half later, this is when he blew up. Now, that Kevin Samuels, the 1 million subscribers, 2 million, I don't know that Kevin Samuels. I know the 35,000 subscriber Kevin. Because like I say, like we had some friction. It wasn't bad, but it was real talk. And I had to keep it real about how I felt about him. I said, look, man, like you playing too many sides, man. I was like, you can't be cool with everybody. I'm sorry. That's just not a feasible thing for you to be loyal.
Right. A friend to all is a friend to none.
I'm like, you can't tell me you was talking to that person, talking to me. And then, but I'm the only guy coming to support your event. Now, let me ask this question. All of these guys on YouTube claiming Kev, my boy, that's my guy. They piggybacking off his content. Why didn't any of these guys come to Kevin Samuels' event? Go.
Because at the time, they weren't real supporters. They liked him when he started going in on women. When he told black men to clean up their, image and their act, they were against him.
They called them gay slurs, right?
Right. They called him gay.
When Kevin Samuels was online telling black men to take off the Jordans and put on a suit, dudes wasn't rocking with Kevin.
Ooh, especially when he was telling them to like cut their dreads for corporate America. They had a real beef with him.
Real talk. So anyway, so me and Kevin had our friction. Moving on. I was like, look, man, there's no way that you being loyal to anybody but yourself. You're telling me you're talking to this guy, you're talking to that guy, you know what I mean? I'm like, look, I'd rather just do my own thing because I really don't want that energy around me. Now, let me speak on the energy for a second. Let me speak on the energy. There is a really dark energy in some of these spaces on YouTube. I don't think a lot of people can see. Now, I've been around several YouTubers, big name YouTubers, small name YouTubers, people I've been around that people don't know I've been around. And a lot of these people got a real dark energy to them. And it's because I try to explain to this female YouTuber, this is big female YouTuber that I used to hang out with. Big female YouTuber, big female YouTuber. And that I used to kick it with. I used to kick it with.
You knew very well, huh?
Very well. And the energy was really dark. And I tried to explain to her, I was like, well, all of your content is negative. Real talk. And she was so stressed out. This is true story. So stressed out. I'm talking about in our personal life. You see what I'm saying? And what it did was, because she was a pretty known person and her content was so negative, she became a prisoner of her own success.
That's crazy.
So when people have problems going to the supermarket, when people have problems going to certain functions, when people kind of got to stay in the house by themselves, it is going to stress you out. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it is going to stress you out. So all right, Boogie, what are you saying? Let me tell you what I'm saying. I literally know YouTubers that had health problems because of the stress.
Me too.
You too, right?
Me too.
This is true story. Because of the stress of it.
Clinically depressed.
I've had to talk some YouTubers off the ledge myself. And a lot of people don't understand, when all you saying and putting out, even if it's just content, it don't matter. Your words matter. You putting that stuff in the universe and people making videos about you. They talking about your family. This stuff affects these people, and a lot of them are so alone. This is true story. This is my testimony. I had to talk some YouTubers off the ledge, and I was like, wow. Yeah, you making good money on YouTube. Yeah, you got a lot of views, but you always by yourself.
At what cost?
Kevin not the only one. Don't get it twisted.
He damn sure not the only one.
Kevin not the only one. So I kind of fell back a couple years ago. I stopped doing panels. I stopped having a lot of people on my show. It was only like a handful of guys that I rock with. I didn't want that energy around me no more. This is a true story. You know what I'm saying? And YouTube damn near drove me crazy. Do you know I drove to an abandoned warehouse to try to smack the shit out of a troll before?
Oh, wow.
This is a true story.
Hell no.
Now, you got to understand, see, Boogie ain't hiding. We have self-improvement summits in D.C., Atlanta, Houston. I live in 2 different states. You know what I'm saying? This is fact. I live in 2 different states. And I'm like, look, man, before I got on YouTube, I used to think when the guy said he was going to smack you, I thought that was real. You see what I'm saying? So I already had a defense mechanism. I didn't understand the trolls Appreciate that $5 super chat, Duality. I didn't understand that. I came from a place where if somebody threatened you, that was 100.
Right.
But I had to learn quickly. Before I got on YouTube, I never was on social media. I had a MySpace for like 6 months when I was in Iraq to talk to my family, but that was it. So I jumped right into social media badlands.
Damn.
The social media swamp. So I didn't get a chance to figure out what trolling was and all of this and capping. Kevin Samuels tried to put me on to some of this stuff, but I didn't really get it. So I just had to say that real quick. But a lot of these people spend a lot of time alone, and the negative energy, the negative content. Everybody got your name in their mouth. You don't think that brings real dark energy into your life? Because it does. It does. And I'm only saying this because I've literally had to talk some YouTubers off the ledge. I've had YouTubers break down crying. I'm talking about personally. And I never got to say no names, but this is true story.
Yeah.
And I tried to give advice. I'm like, look, man, why don't you do some different kind of content? Why don't y'all try something different? But they in too deep. You see what I'm saying? And I know the stress that comes into their life. Why? Because I've been up close on it. You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
So anyway, it's the negative energy. I'm not saying these people were bad people, but you know how YouTube works, social media work, the negative content gonna sell. Kevin Samuels don't really have no problems with women. Kevin Samuels, the way he is on his show, as far as getting smart with women, no, Kevin Samuels is a gentleman. How do I know, Boogie? Because I've been around him. Kevin is a gentleman. That was a show.
Right.
Y'all gotta understand, this shit is entertainment, dog. Kevin Samuels sat there and told me, not, all of his plan, but told me some things he was gonna try. Why? Because we talked about it. We talked on the phone about him doing content for women. And it started as a joke that I made. I was on the phone with Kevin and I was like, look, man, I said, dog, these niggas getting on my nerves. I said, I'm about to start making content for bitches. Real talk.
You always say that too.
But it was a joke. I was like, man, these niggas don't want self-improvement, man. I said, I'm about to start making content for bitches. Real talk. And shortly after that, but it's all good. I mean, I don't really care about that. But I remember where it started, man. And Kevin would tell me similar things. Like, yo, man, I'm done with these dudes, man. Because remember how these guys was coming at him at first. All of these fake friends online and all of this crap. All of these pretenders. And I sat there and watched dudes that called Kevin gay super chat that man. This is facts, people.
A whole 180.
So I'm like, wow. You know what I mean? And I sit there and watch that shit. And the only reason they did that, because he was going hard on the women. I said, look at this fickle, fake bullshit.
Damn.
But when Kevin Samuels told the guys to take off the raggedy sneakers and put on some shoes, they called him every name in a goddamn book.
Right.
Appreciate that Cash App, Marcus. He said the Boogie and Kevin Samuels collab introduced me to Suit Supply. Yeah, shout out to Suit Supply. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So anyway, I thought that was odd. I thought that was real odd. And I guarantee you're going to have a whole bunch of guys out there coming out claiming to be Kevin Friend. Okay, if all these guys was Kevin Friend roles, why none of these niggas went to his event? Why the fuck he called C Boogie and said, man, come down here and support me? I packed up my bag and put my car on 2 wheels and jumped on 85 South. Thanks for that $20 super chat, Rose.
You're welcome.
You see what I'm saying?
Because you cooking.
And this shit used to always baffle me. You ever been befuddled? I was befuddled, but then I just left it alone. I said, you know what? Fuck them. Straight up.
Right.
I started throwing my own events. My shit lit.
For real.
So, but that's besides the point. I said, damn. All you niggas claiming to be Kevin's friend, none of you niggas showed up to support this nigga? You know what I mean?
They were fake supporters.
But you got to understand, at that time, Kevin only had 35,000 subscribers.
Right.
It's easy to dick ride when a nigga got 1 million subscribers.
Right.
It's easy to do that, right?
Very easy.
And I found this odd with these niggas. Thanks for that Cash App Perception. I remember Kevin did tell us to wear Jordans less, stock up on some grown man boots. Man, get you some Chelsea boots, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. So anyway, I thought that was odd. I said, God damn it. And that's when I truly just started doing my own thing. I was like, look, you know, the bullshit, the fake shit, you know, the gossiping shit. I've heard people doing live streams about me. They didn't know that I was watching. They didn't know that I was listening. They talking about shit that they don't know nothing about. I'm like, all you gotta do is ask me if you want to know something.
Right.
I thought I made myself available to niggas. All right, what you want to ask me? Who I'm fucking? None of your business. Straight up. Who C Boogie fucking? None of your business. You want to know who I'm fucking? All right, I'm gonna have to charge you. Big female YouTubers in my inbox. You want to know who? Mind your fucking business. And this is the type of shit these niggas be on. You see what I'm saying? Who C Boogie fuck is none of your goddamn business. But see, that's all that hating shit. You see what I'm saying? And when I figured out that most of these niggas was haters, I was like, you know what, dog? Y'all can have that. Because y'all niggas got some kind of complex with women. You see what I'm saying? Y'all niggas got some kind of PTSD on women.
Right.
You know what I mean? As soon as somebody tell you something you don't want to hear, then you want to call them out, call them names, disrespect them, push them out on their name. Everybody ain't going to jump on YouTube and say everything you want to hear. Some of you niggas do need to fucking self-improve.
Right.
But anyway, moving on, I just thought all this shit was odd. But you know what? Kevin Samuels was the master at maneuvering in these type of spaces. Why? Because he really didn't care. Kevin came about his business. That's one thing I'll give him. He came about his business. You know what I mean? And he used people to get to the top, whether he stole people content. Look, man, that's up for the people to decide. Did he take a lot of talking points that was here for years? Yes. But one thing about Kevin had the image.
Right.
So he was right about that. Kevin Samuels represented a high-value black man that put on a suit that can dress the part and act the part. Whether he was that or not, it don't matter. It doesn't matter. And that's the thing about image. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? That's the fake out. You see what I'm saying?
You're right.
Kevin Samuels represent. Look, it's not a lot of black men on TV or social media with suits on.
Right. You know, one thing that he did say was, what differentiates a young boy and a man if they're dressing similar? So that was one of his justifications in dressing, you know, like a man, to be something that a young boy can aspire to. Like, yeah, I wanna walk around like that one day when I get older. So
I mean, look, a lot of black men ain't have fathers in the house. That's just the truth.
And women.
And women too. A lot of us ain't have fathers in the house.
Young
So
girls.
a lot of times we need a swift little pep talk.
Right.
Whether it's harsh or whether it's moderate, a lot of times we need that. Thanks for that $10 Cash App. Thank you for letting us hear the other side. That always interesting to know. I'm going to keep getting into the Kevin situation, but, you know, they saying the cause of his transition was cardiac arrest or something like that.
He beat cancer though, you know, so
He did beat cancer.
so
But that was
yeah.
when he was like 19, 20.
Right.
So, you know, he was 56. That's a long time ago. I appreciate that $10 Cash App, Ralph. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna give my assessment. I don't think this YouTube stuff was helping Kevin. I'm gonna tell you why. I know that a lot of that talk bothered Kevin. Why? Because we talked about it. Now, Kevin's not going to outright. Kevin's not the type. He's not a C Boogie. Kevin not going to outright and say, fuck these niggas. But he's going to say it in his own way.
Right.
Like, let's say, let me give you an example. Let's say somebody made a live stream about Kevin, right?
Right.
And it came up in conversation. Kevin would be like, who? You see what I'm saying? Like, he one of those types. He'd be like, who is that?
Right.
Why should I pay attention to him? Like,
right.
It was a slick, high road response. And then he'll give his assessment on him. Like, man, you know, that's a nobody, da-da-da-da. Or he'd be like, look at him. He was famous for that. He'd be like, look at him. He's supposed to talk about me.
Right.
So Kevin was good at stuff like that. But, you know, I know this YouTube stuff got to him. And this was back when he only had 35,000 subscribers. Come on, man. I'm just being 100. Anytime you hit me up 10, 11 at night with stuff on your mind, you know, and look, it's all good. I'm not trying to, I'm just saying that whole space and that whole realm that he was in was a big ball of negativity.
Right.
It was a big ball of negative. So I'm sure that shit didn't help him. I'm sure that didn't make his situation better. Monetarily, it probably did, but look at the stress he bringing in. Look at the stress he bringing in. So, you know, it's not. Look, they saying the man died alone. What the fuck, man?
Hell no.
Rose, what we talking about here, man? This is allegedly. This is what they saying.
That's ironic.
They saying the fucking guy died alone. You know what I'm saying? Who the fuck want to go out like that? And just like I told you, when I used to talk to Kevin on the phone, anytime he would call me or whatever the case, yo, man, he was always by himself. Always by himself. It's kind of, the ironic thing was he used to tell black women they're going to die alone. Real talk.
Yeah.
He's called cat ladies or get a dog.
A dog, yeah.
That's the ironic part. You know, respectfully, but I'm just being, he used to tell black women they're going to die alone. They saying the man died alone.
Damn.
I just got to tell it like it is. And to anybody in the chat room, I can't clout chase off Kevin because I knew the guy.
Right.
Half of that story is Kevin's, half of that story is mine.
Yeah, you experienced him in real life.
Pause.
Yeah.
I can't clout chase off Kevin. If I was clout chasing, I would get on here and tell all these personal stories. I ain't got to do that. I don't have to. But I can tell my story pertaining to my dealings with Kevin. And I'm going to tell the good and the bad.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And it's funny, I got another story I'm going to tell. For all you Negroes. Niggas worse than the KKK. Appreciate that $20 super chat, B Money. For all you Negroes, I got another story. Me and Kevin was in Buckhead, right? This is when we was doing the content. Gotta remember. So,
this is like what, 2019?
This was years ago, man. 18, 19, you know what I mean? So, we up in Buckhead. So, Kevin goes to get some sherbet. This is a true story. I don't know what sherbet is. Never even heard of this shit.
Me neither.
Never heard of sherbet in my life. So Kevin was like, hey man, let's walk over here. I'm gonna get some sherbet. I'm like, what? So I'm like, all right. So like I went to the store with him, and it looked like a little ice cream shop. I'm like, yo, man, I'm not about to sit with another grown man and eat ice cream, sherbet, nothing, yogurt, nothing.
Oh, is it sherbet?
No, sherbet is sherbet. It's fucking sherbet. So he get the sherbet, and I go outside. You know what I'm saying? Because if you go down, like, you know how you on Buckhead, they got tables and chairs outside and shit like that.
Right.
So we went outside and kicked it. He eating his sherbet. I'm just on my phone doodling or whatever. And one of his subscribers pulled up on us because we was live streaming all over Atlanta.
Oh yeah, I remember.
So like it wasn't hard to find us. We was at
Right.
restaurants, we was at eateries, whatever. Right? So boom. Kevin's eating his sherbet. I'm sitting there just on my phone. So this guy had rolled up on us. He was a veteran too. He rolled up like, yo, man, what's going on, Kevin? I drove all the way from Decatur, whatever he said, to come down here. And I just want to shake your hand, man. And, you know, he seen me. He was like, what up, Boogie? But he really came for Kevin. Kevin Samuels was so cold to this dude. I'm just going to be 100. This man drove all the way down there to see Kevin.
Damn.
Kevin might have said one word to this guy, got up, walked away, came back. So I told the guy to sit down. I started talking to the guy for like 20 minutes. The guy was just telling Kevin, yo, man, I'm really into your content. I want to support you. Woo. And I was like, damn.
Oh, that's cool.
I was like, wow. Appreciate that $50 Cash App, King Empress. Respect the Boogie, always keeping it real. I'm just going to keep it a buck. But yeah, like the nigga was eating shit. Yo, you got this. Kevin Samuels is about 6'6". And that day, no, I think his soul was like this thick on his shoes. The nigga's big as hell though. Pause. Tall as shit, eating some fucking sherbet. Real talk. Like y'all don't know Kevin is a mammoth human being. Like, you ever stand next to NBA guy? Oh, you probably have stand next to NBA players, knowing you.
Well, in NFL.
But fair enough.
They're
But if
not
you
that
ever been
tall.
around, if you ever been in a club with NBA guys, they stick out.
Right.
Even the point guard is 6'3", 6'4". You know what I'm saying? They just stick out. And you like, damn, this nigga tall as hell. That's Kevin. Big ass eating some sherbet. Real talk. I was like, what the hell?
He like what he like.
So I was just befuddled. I'm like, yo, man, I didn't fucking know what sherbet was. I didn't. I'm like, yo. So I was just so in fucking shock that this big ass nigga, Paul's, sitting there, and you know the sherbet came with this itty bitty spoon.
The pink one.
Real talk, like y'all, it was an itty bitty fucking spoon. I swear to God.
That's so funny.
This shit was the most oddest shit in the fucking world.
I love the way you tell stories.
For real. So I'm sitting there, I'm looking for help, right? At this point, Rose, I'm looking for help. Like, yo, man, somebody come save me. This big ass nigga eating sherbet. I never heard of the sherbet. We go to the sherbet shop. So he like, you want some? He like, just try it. I'm like, nah, I'm good. He like, just try it. I'm like, yo, I would have probably ate some ice cream. Real talk. I like pralines and cream and shit. I would have probably ate some ice cream.
On the cone?
What? Hell, Paul, hell no. I'd have probably got some ice cream. You know what I mean? Maybe. I don't think I would have ate ice cream with a grown man. But if I'm going to go to a shop, maybe I'm with my lady or something, maybe I get some ice cream. But not no fucking sherbet. So I'm looking for help, right? I'm on my phone like, yo, come get me. I call Brazzy like, yo, it was a sight to fucking see.
Like, was it hot?
I don't know what sherbet is. It looked like yogurt to me.
No, I'm saying, was the weather hot?
It was warm in Atlanta.
Oh, okay. People are saying it's sorbet. Sorbet.
Yo, it's Kevin told me a sherbet. Kevin told me a sherbet. So the sherbet, and the illest part, I'm like, they couldn't get this big ass nigga a regular spoon. You know them itty bitty little spoons that you take little baby.
That's hilarious.
Kevin sat there and ate this fucking sherbet piece by piece. Right? Ain't saying nothing to the guy that drove all the way down there to see him, because he's sitting at the table too.
Right.
And I'm conversing with him because Kevin turned his back to him.
Damn.
This is a true story. So I'm like, what the fuck? And at that point, you know, I realized who Kevin really was. You know what I'm saying? I don't even want to get into that. Kevin's a very judgmental guy for whatever reason, but aesthetically, if you don't fit a certain type, Kevin ain't really trying to rock with you. That's what I know. So, yeah, I mean, but this big ass nigga eating sherbet, and I'm like, yo, man, whatever, right? I'm just like, whatever. Do your thing, dog. You like sherbet, handle your business. You know what I mean? So anyway,
that's hilarious.
Yo, that was like the funniest part of the whole shit. Because even when he asked me, he was like, yo, Boogie, let's go over here to the sherbet shop. And I'm like, what? But I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of embarrassed, so I didn't want to ask what it was. So I'm like, all right, let's go. You know what I'm saying? I'm walking in that bitch like George Jefferson. I'm thinking sherbet is some kind of wine, kind of like sangria or something.
Okay, like a wine tasting kind of.
Yeah, I'm thinking in my mind, sherbet, sangria.
Right.
I'm thinking it's a drink. I'm like, it's right up my alley. Bros, why the fuck we get into this store, this shit was looking like Baskin Robbins. You see what I'm saying?
Got 31 flavors.
Then the nigga was like, Boogie, try something, get a sample. I was like, nah, because I just thought it was weird. I'm not against sherbet. I thought it was weird if it's two grown men sitting there eating sherbet. Now that was the two small spoons. I was like, that's odd.
That's funny.
You know what I mean? That was odd to me. So, you know, that was like a ill part of the story. So anyway, look, man. You know what I would say about Kevin? We ain't gonna be on here too long. I would say that Kevin Samuels was kind of like any other man, meaning lived a life of duality, like any other man. We had some real conversations. He told me about his family life. I told him about mine. He told me about his ex-wives. You know what I'm saying? You know, he showed me a picture of his daughter. I've seen Kevin Samuels' daughter. He showed me a picture. Looked like him too. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna get all into that, but I can tell some things was bothering Kevin. But you know how sometimes we mask things and keep it moving?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We just mask it and keep it moving. So, you know, it is what it is. You know, I think Kevin Samuels wanted to be successful. At the time where I met Kevin, he didn't have much going on besides YouTube. He was an average YouTuber, probably making average money, trying to make it. I'm not mad at Kevin that he used people, used talking points to make it. I don't know his financial situation. I don't know this. I don't know that. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, he lived a life of duality. You know what I mean? And it just is what it is. You know what I mean? My dealings with Kevin was fair. It was fair. You know what I'm saying? I took it for what it was worth. You never seen me got online and throw smut on Kevin's name and F Kevin and you know what I mean? You know, all these dudes will put Kevin Samuels' name in their title for clout. I didn't.
Right.
I still got footage and video of me and Kevin. I might put it out now just to let people see a different side of him. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm just being 100. I'm just gonna tell it like it is, man. I can only tell a story based on how I knew the guy. You know what I'm saying? So my dealings with Kevin was fair. I took it for what it was worth. You know what I mean? And when Kevin Samuels made it big, when his channel took off, I really wasn't surprised because I did know how hard he worked at his content. Now that I did know, he'd be up all night editing videos and stuff like that. Like he was that type. So, you know, if you consistent with anything, there's going to be some success. Is there some luck here, luck there? Yeah, but you know what I mean? He was prepared for it because the luck could have came, and if he wasn't prepared, it would have walked right past him.
Right. So
when Kevin made it big, I wasn't surprised because these were conversations we had when, you know, he hit 100,000 subscribers, 500, 1 million. You know what I mean? I wasn't surprised because I knew how much that shit meant to him. Straight up. Kevin wasn't into the YouTube beef, but I know it bothered him. You see what I'm saying? And for all you niggas up in the chat, I can never sneak this Kevin. Why? I put the work in. Anybody want to call my phone all of a sudden? I put the work in. Meaning, I actually supported Kevin Samuels. How many people can say that?
Not many.
I actually showed up when a nigga needed a nigga. Don't ever try to throw smut on my name. So I can get on here and I can talk about certain things because when it came to the get down, who he called? He called C Boogie. All these other YouTube niggas ain't show up, did they?
No.
Facts. Fuck out of here. Know what I mean? So, look. It just is what it is. I was just checking out the comment. It's like, oh, you know what I mean? You clout chasing. Clout chasing. If I was clout chasing, I would get on here and I'm telling my interactions with Kevin. We can consider this a tribute, but I don't want to call it a tribute. I'm just giving people insight on who I know Kevin to be. Kevin was a very imperfect man. Kevin went through trials and tribulations in life like any other man. Kevin told me stories about him hitting rock bottom. Nigga had to build his way back up. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That's a part of any man's life. You're going to have it, you're going to lose it, you're going to have it, you're going to lose it, but you pray that every time you get it, you can have it longer. You see what I'm saying? Kevin was at the top of Black YouTube. Everybody was chasing that. A lot of people had better content than Kevin, but they ain't had a package. I'm just going to be 100. They didn't have the package, man. Kevin had the package. You know what I mean? And for whatever reason, people wanted to see Kevin in the suit. He played the part. He gave people entertaining content. He gave Clubhouse talking points. A lot of these guys on YouTube was dead until Kevin blew up and they rolled that coattail. A lot of these niggas' channels was done. They put
Facts.
Kevin Samuels in every fucking title.
Facts.
Now, ask C Boogie why I never did that. Ask me.
Why haven't you did that?
I didn't put Kevin Samuels in my titles until now. I didn't put Kevin Samuels in the titles of my videos. I think I did it one time in the course of like 2 years. And that was fairly recently, though. I didn't do it because I knew Kevin personally. And when you know somebody personally, right, you understand why they do what they do. I understood why Kevin took that position, and you know, a lot of women was mad. You even had some guys out there that was mad at Kevin. Kevin ain't like that in real life. You know what I'm saying? When I met Kevin, we shook hands. We stood tall and we greeted like men. When a man walk in the room, you stand up. Period. You shake that man's hand. You look in his eyes. Of course, y'all gonna size each other up. You see what I'm saying? This was 35,000 subscriber Kevin. You see what I'm saying? We stood up like men and shook hands. Then we got in my car and we rode the Suit Supply and the Cheesecake Factory. Kevin don't drink. I had a drink that day. I think I had a Crown and Coke or a Crown and Sprite. Kevin don't even drink. He eat sherbet. That's what the fuck he do.
With the spoon.
You know what I mean? So, you know, it's just is what it is, man. I never really told a lot of people why me and Kevin stopped talking. You know what I mean? But it never was no beef. I never came out and threw smut on his name. I never came out and said, oh, F Kevin, and went on these wild rants against Kevin, because I know who he is. Kevin Samuels was trying to hit a lick fast, man.
He did.
And he did.
He did.
And he did. You know what I mean? He did. That was just what it was. He wanted, you know what I mean? Kevin tried to throw events. He tried to do this. He tried to do that. And then he finally hit it big with the Average at Best girl. Shit went viral.
Right.
Boom. Took off from there. At least that's what I remember. But at the end of the day, when I knew Kevin, he was trying to make it. He was trying to get it. At that time, Kevin used to always give me tips on YouTube. He used to send me videos. It's a true story. On how to build my channel. At that time, I had too much going on in my personal life. I was like, look, bro, I ain't really into it like that. Real talk, for real. Yeah. I'm just being honest. I was like, this ain't really that much of a big deal to me. I'm not the guy that's up all night editing videos. I got to that point.
Right, you did.
But at the time, truth be told, I'm being 100. I was too busy in the streets. You know what I'm saying? So I would do my little live streams. I would make my content, and I was outside for the rest of the day, handling business, doing this, woo. You know what I'm saying? Getting to the money and shit, losing money, all type of shit, man. I was too busy wilding out. So when Kevin was trying to talk to me about taking this serious, I was like, man, I'll get to it. That was my attitude. I had too much shit going on. I'm just being 100. But did Kevin give me sound advice? You fucking right, he did. Kevin Samuels gave me good advice. And it wasn't about women, it was about life. Kevin Samuels was good at that. That's the one thing I can never take from him. Me and Kevin ain't sit around all day and talk about women. I mean, he was always by himself. What the fuck? We ain't sit around talking about women, but he would give me advice on this, and I would tell him some of my visions, some of my plans. He'd be like, yo, like, you should do this, or here's send me a video about it. Now, he was good at that. He was great at that. You know what I'm saying? And a big chunk of our relationship revolved around that. Like, he really gave me sound advice on life that, truth be told, I can honestly say Kevin never told me a lie. He never told me nothing wrong. Now, as far as the YouTube shit, I just wasn't into it like him. I'll just be honest, man. I was like, look, man, I'm going to do my thing, but I don't want to be famous. And me and him had these conversations. I was like, yo, I don't really want to be famous, bro. I don't want all of that. You see what I'm saying? I just want to do my content and keep it moving. I mean, I've been recognized some places, and I don't like that feeling. I don't like when people run up on me and be like, yo, Boogie, like, I don't like that. You know, some guys do, I don't. So I never was chasing 1 million subscribers. I never was chasing that because I know what that come with. And I'm going to wind this podcast down, and I'm going to leave y'all with a good, solid message. You think what you want about this podcast, I don't give a damn. I'm up. Nah, I'm up in life.
No, for real.
Nah, I'm up. So
the sky's the limit.
Nah, I'm up. But here's the point. Kevin Samuels spent a lot of time alone. Here's my point. And this is not my opinion. This is when me and him talk pretty regularly. That was a block of time between the first time I met him and the second time I met him. It was a block of time we spoke regularly. And he was always by himself. I felt like he was just roaming. You see what I'm saying? I never heard Kevin talk about family. He showed me a picture of his daughter. He never told me, as many times as we talked, that he was hanging out with his kid, this and that. And I never asked him. But, you know, we think about these things like, damn, dog, like, you don't ever go to birthday parties or, you know what I mean? Like, he was always into some shit alone. And I just thought it was odd. You know what I mean? I thought it was odd. But they saying that in Atlanta, he passed away. He transitioned by himself.
That's what he was warning black women.
Look, man, that shit ain't the move. For all you dudes out there that, you know, Y'all want to be single for the rest of y'all life and da-da-da-da. Kevin Samuels passed away by himself. Allegedly, this is what they saying. He passed away by himself. Cardiac arrest. I mean,
I wonder what triggered that.
I'm not a doctor, and I don't even want to get into that, but I just want to speak on the message. Yo, man, a lot of people think that shit is fly, being alone. Imagine going out like that. You know what I'm saying? If, they saying allegedly. I didn't know Kevin to always be around people. When I knew him, Kevin was always alone. So I'm just being 100 like, dog. A lot of people, man, y'all need to get y'all life together, man. You know what I'm saying? Nobody want to die alone, but nobody want to live alone. We was put on earth to be with each other, man. When God, if anybody read Genesis, God, he made man first. He say, man, being alone ain't good.
Right.
Then he paired him with a woman.
Right. All these men worrying about having a rotation, they need a woman that will be by their side.
I'm just being 100.
In their last days.
God made everything perfect. He looked at man and said, no, this ain't good. Man by himself. He paired up everything else, the animals, everything. He paired it up. Gave man dominion. So, I'm just being 100, man. I'm just being 100. A lot of dudes need to tighten up, man. That ain't the move to go out by yourself, man. I remember when I was in Iraq, man. When I was in a war zone. We had something called a battle buddy. Meaning, if me and you, hypothetically speaking, if me and you go to Iraq, Afghanistan, or somewhere, we in the same platoon, they gonna pair us together and say, y'all battle buddies. You don't go anywhere without her. She don't go nowhere without you. Even to the bathroom. Because they never wanted a soldier to be alone. You know how many guys committed suicide in Iraq? Because they couldn't take it. I've had guys in Iraq cry on my chest, man. I never left my soldiers alone. I don't rock like that, man. But that's how deep this shit go. A nigga could become a prisoner of his own success. You know what I mean? I've talked YouTubers off the ledge because they were so stressed out. And the only thing that I can say is, look at the kind of content you're doing. All these negative comments, anytime you go live, you got negative people calling in, you got negative people in your chat room, and you reading this, and you internalizing all this shit.
Living in hell in your mind.
You internalizing all this shit, and then they become paranoid. You know what I'm saying? Paranoid. That ain't the move, man. And when it's all said and done, you pass away by yourself. All right, you made it to the mountaintop. Like, when Dr. King gave his last speech in Memphis, Dr. King said, I've been to the mountaintop. You made it to Mount Rushmore of Black YouTube. Kevin Samuels, first person. You know what I mean? There's other people on there, but Kevin is the creme de la creme.
Right.
Ended up passing by himself. I think that's very sad, man. Rest in peace to Kevin. I think that's very sad, and I think that's unnecessary. That's my message, man. Nigga don't like it, fuck you. I don't give a damn. I'm up. I'm keeping it real.
Big facts.
Know what I mean? Nigga passed away by himself. All the rotation, all the suits, all the jewelry, all the cologne, all that shit. You can't take it with you, bruh. It's about the relationships you leave. That's your legacy. Why? Because people gonna tell your story. Now, see, Boogie can get on my podcast. I have dealings with Kevin. I can tell my story, but it's a part of his story. Now, it's left up to me to tell it accurately. Who gonna tell your story? You see what I'm saying? What kind of legacy you gonna leave here on earth? Oh, you know what I mean? A nigga don't care you make money. Nigga, I ain't never seen no Brink trucks go to no fucking gravesite, dog. A nigga can have $5,000 in his wallet. They not gonna put that in your casket, nigga. Or who gonna come to your funeral? We ain't even gonna get to that. You ain't got no real friends. You ain't got no true comrades. When Kevin Samuels called me to come to Atlanta, I jumped in my car. He said, come support me. I said, say less. It was YouTube niggas that said that they was gonna come to the Self-Improvement Summit, never showed up.
No call, no show.
But it's all good. I'm just keeping it real though. Why? Because I want my legacy to be as good as I can get it. It ain't gonna be perfect, but at least a motherfucker say, you know what? When Boogie said he was gonna do something, he was gonna do it. Period. Now, me and Kevin didn't end on the best of terms, but it wasn't beef. I said what I had to say to Kevin. He said what he had to say to me. And you know what? He reached out to me a couple times. I didn't reach out back. Why? Because I moved on with my life, man. I moved on from that circle of negativity. Why? Because those guys started to cannibalize each other. Talking about these black niggas in YouTube, man. They started to cannibalize each other. There was so much negativity, they kept stepping on each other's toes. Oh, you said this and you said that and the gossip and this. I'm like, look, man, that's crazy. Who the fuck gonna come to your funeral? I don't know who gonna come to Kevin's funeral. You know what I mean? That's my message for people, man. Who gonna come to your funeral? Your subscribers? I mean, fair enough. What kind of family? What the fuck niggas doing out here? I would rather go out. I would rather pass away right there with my family beside me holding my hand. Who the fuck want to die by themselves? But nah. Niggas on some rugged individualism out here, man. Know what I'm saying? Real talk. Real talk.
The relationships tell the story. Thank you, Rel.
That's a fact.
You're right.
A motherfucker can have a funeral and 15 people come. You ain't live an extraordinary life. Period. I'm sorry. A motherfucker have a funeral, 20 people come. That ain't good enough. I've seen funerals where people lined around the goddamn block. But we don't think about that. You know what I'm saying? We ain't really on that. Why? Because we don't give a damn about family. We don't give a damn about that. Now everybody care about Roe v. Wade. Half you niggas support abortion. I ain't supposed to say that. Half you niggas support it. Half you niggas done paid for them. Now all of a sudden you got something to say. Get out of here with that, man. Now y'all care about it. Y'all truly support it.
Right.
Honestly. If excuse me, if it wasn't for that, half these dudes would be locked up in child support right now. Y'all might as well support it. Hey, you know what I mean? Come on, man. Half you niggas support abortion. Ain't that crazy? Now everybody got something to say.
It's sad.
That ain't sad. It's nigga logic, man. It's nigga logic. Get out of here, man. Half you niggas literally support it in your actions. Fuck out of here, man. Now all you Negroes got something to say about Roe v. Wade like y'all give a damn. Like y'all care about unborn babies, man. Y'all don't care about that. Y'all just want to shame some women again and then turn around and pay for an abortion next week. Half you niggas locked up in that shit now. Cash App is making mad money off you niggas sending that $500-$600 on them abortions, man. Y'all support it. But at the end of the day, who want to die alone, man? Get out of here, man. I know YouTubers that are prisoners of their own success. They can't even go to the grocery store. They got certain times they go to the store. Because they don't want to be recognized.
Paranoid.
They paranoid.
Guns under the pillow.
All type of shit, man.
Thinking somebody gonna murder them.
This is crazy. And the only thing I came online and said was self-improvement. Dudes want to come at me. I'm like, you know what? F that. Because I know what this is. So if Kevin Samuels at the top, look how he went out. But a lot of dudes want that. Look how he went out. He went out by himself. Who the fuck want to die like that, man? Who the fuck want to die like that? Yeah, you got millions of subscribers, millions of followers. You're famous now. You're a household name. You fucking go out by yourself, man. That's crazy to me, man. That's fucking insane. Anyway, I just wanted to say that, man. I just wanted to say that. Why? Because Kevin spent a lot of time alone. Now, I don't know the status of his health. When I seen Kevin, he looked like the bill of health. Tall, slender. I'm like, look pretty healthy to me. Sitting there eating sherbet. I'm like, shit. I'm not a doctor, but I know the stress of this YouTube shit ain't helping. That's a fact. It ain't helping when I knew him, and I know it ain't helping him now. Niggas are crazy, man. Niggas are crazy. Now, one thing I disagree with Kevin about, well, I ain't gonna get into that. It's a few things. But at the end of the day,
I don't want to know where you disagree.
no, Kevin, at least back in the day, like he was on some shit like, every man should have a rotation, da 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 da. Look, I'm not against that. You know what I'm saying? Talking about, getting out here chasing around these young girls, da 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 da. But at the end of the day, if you ain't got nobody that care about you in your life, that truly care about you,
That you could trust.
and this go beyond looks, this go beyond any superficial thing, right? Anything superficial. Kevin was big on aesthetics and looks and shit like that.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if you ain't got nobody that got your back, that's going to check on you, that's going to be there, you can end up going out alone. Now, Kevin preached a lot of superficial shit. You see what I'm saying? Not all the time, but he was big on, women's looks and calling, black woman the ugliest woman on planet and all that type of shit. Now, this is what he said. Aesthetically, you like black women are at the bottom. And look, fair enough. If that's his opinion, that's his opinion. But what did all that get him? Transition by himself. Come on, dog. You better get somebody that give a damn about you. See, when life hit us, dog, when life hit everybody, I'm talking about real life. When niggas is going through health problems, when bank account getting low, when niggas is stressed, somebody passed away in your life, when life hit us, that's when we get our priorities straight. You like, damn, I've been chasing around all this young pussy, or I've been wilding out, this and that. Now I'm by myself to pick up the pieces, but you ain't make the proper relationships, because when you got relationships, when you go through problems, all you got to do is make a phone call or two. You back on your feet.
Right.
Or you need somebody. You having health problems. Somebody bring you this, that, and the other. You might not be feeling well that day. You just got a friend that just come and take you out. You don't want to spend too much time by yourself. But see, motherfuckers don't ever want to talk about the real shit. It's all this superficial bullshit. But when it come down to the get down, the nigga transition by himself, man. I'm done with this fucking podcast. Yo, we got the co-host I love to do the most. We got Rose in the building. I got to bust a move, man. It's Cinco de Mayo. I got shit to do, man. At the end of the day, they saying Kevin passed away today, allegedly. Hey, if it happened, rest in peace to Kevin Samuels. You know what I'm saying? Look, my time with Kevin was fair. You know what I'm saying? We had laughs. We had arguments. That's any relationship that you're going to have with anybody in life. We had our agreements. We had our disagreements. But did I learn something from the brother? I learned something from Kevin. I learned a few things on the style piece, and I also learned things on life, and that's more important to me. That's more important to me. I shared some personal, intimate conversations with the guy. Kevin's not a bad dude. Kevin wanted to hit a lick. Kevin Samuels played off the insecurities of a lot of men that truly he really didn't like. Why? Because we had these conversations. You know what I mean? So, hey, y'all gonna have to find another Kevin now. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You're gonna have to find another Kevin now. It is what it is. You know what I mean? So I just want to get my 2 cents on it, man. Everybody got an opinion. I don't give a fuck about opinions. I care about results. Fuck your opinion. Because I know when Kevin needed somebody, I was there. I'm going to say that one more time. I know when Kevin Samuels needed somebody, C Boogie showed up. Period. C Boogie showed up. Ain't none of you niggas show up. Ain't none of you niggas support Kevin. I'm talking about 35,000 subscriber Kevin. Fuck out of here, man. Bitch ass niggas. Yo, I'm done with this podcast. I'm out, man.
Rest in peace.
That's all you can say.
And rest in peace to my little brother, too.
Bitch ass niggas, man.